everybody. Welcome to the Energy News Beat podcast. My name's Stu Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group. I've got one of my favorite all-time international rock stars, and I mean, she is phenomenal. She writes for Oil Price. She's on several podcasts. She's always well received. You have to subscribe to her Substack. It's Irina Slav at substack.com. Irina, thank you for stopping by the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Stu, as always.
Oh, I got to give you a shout out, and I got to give Kat a shout out. Your daughter sent this over to me, and I really, really appreciate that. And I want all of my listeners to know that on the podcast, I'm holding up an extremely cool picture of two dragons, and they are cool. So if you've seen the Game of Thrones or you've seen anything else, the Game of Thrones, they fly away, Irina, into the sunset in a very cool dragon story. So we'll leave it at that. So tell Kat again, thank you so much.
I'll pass it on.
All right. Irina, you've had some great stories, and let's start with OPEC and the IEA. As the IEA came out and said peak oil, I mean, you can't, as David Blackman would say, you can't buy this kind of stupid. What are your thoughts on first the IEA and then OPEC's response, which I thought was pretty cool? So
yeah, I laughed out loud when I read that response, the official press release. It was hilarious. It was so good, really brilliant. Well, what about the IEA? They do it once in a while. I mean, they do it regularly, lest we forget that they are forecasting peak oil demand, which is going to happen soon. And not just peak oil demand, but peak gas demand, because wind and solar are doing so well that I think ConocoPhillips just, I don't think I know. ConocoPhillips just closed a long-term LNG delivery deal with a Dutch company to supply the Netherlands and the whole of Northwestern Europe with gas. This is how, impending peak gas demand is, just like peak oil demand, which is going to occur because of the growth in, guess what? Electric vehicles. Of course. This is happening as, car dealers are seeing much bigger inventories of electric vehicles than regular cars. I don't know what to tell you. It's just wishful thinking. They really, 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 really want to make it happen, but they can't make it happen because making it happen depends on millions and millions of people, and the people are not literally not buying it.
Right.
So that was just your usual fatigue bureau, but the response of OPEC was just wonderful, and it was pretty quick, by the way. It came just a few hours later or something. It was really, really quick. And they raised very important issues that were not laughable at all. They said that stuff like that can drive further underinvestment in oil and gas, which would create a deficit, which would lead to higher prices, which would lead to all sorts of problems, very serious problems with energy security. So basically, you might want to think before you write this sort of thing. Not that they will, but it was good to tell them.
Do you think the wind energy pays the IEA to make comments like that?
I doubt it. They're not rolling in money right now. I mean, they're having serious financial problems.
I was going to say, how do you pay for stupid? I'm not sure.
I think you have to be born this way and nurture it, though. You have to nurture it. I mean, all of us are stupid in one way or another, but this extent of stupidity needs nurturing. It needs work.
Well, nurturing stupid, I like that. My dad always says it takes a village to raise an idiot. Well, I always, it's like a whole village just to get that idiot up and rolling. So,
well, we've got a lot of villages if you see climate activists as
Right.
villages. So
You know, the activization. Well, that's a horrible way to say activization. That's a Texas way to talk, Irina. And so, with all the
Bulgarian
way,
word is pretty
yeah,
similar.
I'm gonna have to come over to Bulgaria and hang out just to
Yeah,
learn English. But when we talk about the wind off of the east coast of the United States, they're killing all the whales. I mean, it's just right up the main area, and so ecologically, the energy hypocrisy and ecological damage is a true huge hypocrisy. Is
yeah.
that kind of hypocrisy going on in the EU and in Bulgaria?
We don't have whales here, so
But about birds, or I mean, they're killing birds by the millions here.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the country with the most offshore wind farms is Denmark, and I don't know what the situation is with birds,
Okay.
migratory or otherwise, there. But what's happening on the east coast of the United States and these whale deaths is certainly worth looking into. And I understand people are looking into and suggesting a causal link between offshore wind development and whale deaths,
Yep.
because I mean, it could be a coincidence, but it's a pretty huge coincidence, I'd
You bet.
say.
David Blackman just released a interview with Megan, and a whale expert. I mean, a offshore marine expert, and she's got some fantastic information on that. But as we take a look at the humor of the IEA and OPEC, and we talk about the electric vehicle craze going on, I mean, in the U.S., Ford is losing $60,000 per car that they try to sell. I
Robert Bryce wrote about it twice. Yes.
and that's and there's the dealers are sitting on them, and then salt water getting into the battery or anything else. We're having fires like you wouldn't believe that Teslas are, and electric cars are starting a fire, and fire departments don't want to touch them.
Yeah, but don't worry about it, because according to some new research from the Rocky Mountain Institute, which is a totally impartial source of scientific research,
Right.
the risk of EVs catching fire is much, much, much smaller than the risk of internal combustion engines catching fire. Because, let's be honest, every day we hear stories about cars spontaneously catching fire in the street without, being in an accident. Just, that internal combustion engine loves to spontaneously combust and does it so much more often than EVs.
You
So
know,
this is where we are with research.
have you heard of humans doing spontaneous combustion?
I remember a long time ago. I was
I think
reading.
there's been very, very few, and I think that's about as much as a car has an internal combustion engine has. So it's very, very rare that a internal combustion engine just spontaneously sparks.
But can they at all?
No.
Can they do it at all? I don't think so. I mean, how?
So you sit back and kind of go, the cars. We just had the tornado, or excuse me, the hurricane in Florida, and cars that were flooded, electric cars that were flooded, started just burning up after a few
Yeah,
days
it's not good for the battery. Yeah.
because of the battery and stuff. So let's go to when we talk about all of this stuff, the political, I'm going to have to call it stupidity of the Biden administration and Saudi Arabia. They're about as smart. I can't even think of something that's smart comparable. I mean, my
I was
shoe.
looking around my desk my desk for something
Yeah.
really.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll try this. This was a battery that I found that had all fallen apart and everything else. That this is smarter than Biden, and I know it won't work. So okay, Saudi Arabia. The prince said, I think a couple weeks ago, he is in a war to make Saudi Arabia better than Europe, bringing all economic to a. He even called it a war. Before he dies, he wants to have Saudi Arabia as the world
Who's that? The
headquarters.
king?
Pardon?
Who's that? The king of Saudi
Yeah,
Arabia?
the
Okay.
prince.
Oh, the
Um,
prince.
yes, and he said before he dies, he wants to make sure that Saudi Arabia is the financial ruler of the world with business.
Oh, what
I
an
thought that was
ambitious
like
man.
I'm over there going, okay, that's Saudi Arabia first. And their energy policies are going, first. And it seems like and it seems to me that the countries around the world who have good energy policies have a higher standard of living for their citizens. I mean, isn't that a fair statement? Or
Well, probably to a certain extent. Yeah, probably. I mean, China has lifted millions out of poverty over the last 40 years, and it's still doing this,
right,
including through its energy policies. In Russia, the priority of the energy policy is not be bad towards Europe, make them suffer. No, the priority of their energy policies is try to gasify as much of the territory of Russia,
right.
which is huge, as you know, as possible. This is their priority. Make sure people have affordable energy.
Yep.
And this is what I actually wrote about in a recent post on Substack, that this is one thing the totalitarian regimes got right. People
Oh,
need affordable energy. If you give them this, you kind of establish a minimum standard of living
right,
for everyone, which is what every government, every country should strive for. Nobody should be dying of cold or hunger
right. Oh, I
as a
agree.
result of those stupid energy policies, which is what, well, people are not dying yet in Europe, but yet is the key word. I think if they continue doing what they are doing right now,
Right.
we might have some deaths on our hands. Well, not our hands, but you know what I mean.
Oh, absolutely. And we've seen that with the US policies and with the UK, your show with the transition group with Tammy, Armando, and
Yeah.
David. I love all you guys. I mean, I love when I can jump on, and I'm sorry, I'm a pest.
LinkedIn user, you.
I don't know why it does that. It blocks out me, so I have to go, hi, this is Stu, and this is a really dumb question, so but I stalk you guys, and I love that one episode that Tammy was bringing up all of the utilitarian things that are going on in the UK right now. Wow.
It is wow. Yeah.
They don't want people to have freedom or energy.
Yeah. And people don't know about it. This is how great the censorship has become in one supposedly free and democratic country. I can't believe this is happening.
No,
Such a
and
change from just 30 years ago. It's really unbelievable. Having your electric utility, uh, cut off your power or reduce your power just because you're above your allowance. The very idea of this is horrifying. But
right.
because people don't know about it, they can't do anything about it.
I would be in trouble because I normally have 10 monitors.
Yeah, you will be in huge trouble.
I would be in big trouble because my office is a wall of monitors because I watch things, all over the place, or I work on so many different projects. I couldn't afford to work.
No, no.
So what were some of the biggest things that were going to cause people their freedom that Tammy was bringing up? It was pretty frightening on some of those things.
It was very frightening. Yeah,
Do you
extremely.
see those freedoms being removed in Bulgaria?
No, not yet. They wouldn't do this here. No, no. We haven't even completed our transition from totalitarian to a democratic society, Stu. If they try this here, they will have a civil war on their hands. Not that I would put it past them,
Right.
the current government, which is, reporting directly to a certain embassy, which they openly admitted in a leaked recording of internal discussions before they formed the government.
Wow.
And it wasn't the Russian embassy they meant, if I may put it this way. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Um,
They're very
oh,
enthusiastic, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. They do want to close our coal plants, though.
I don't mind coal if the new technology is implemented that allows for a cleaner burning of it. And
Of
then,
course, and they have those filters, anti-pollution filters that catch the particulate matter. They
yes,
have this. One of these coal plants is operated by an American company, AES, and still they want to close them
and then
because it may be an American company, but apparently it deals with coal, so it can't stay.
what about that German company that was tearing down windmills in order to do coal again?
RWE, yeah, yeah, they're doing it.
Isn't that funny?
It's
Germany
absurd,
is
is what it is.
Germany's in trouble because of their policies. Um, the U.S. is having real big problems with the offshore wind. Even people are bailing out. They just had
Yeah, nobody wants to build it because it's expensive, and
and
it's just emerging just how expensive it is. It's no longer
the
profitable.
the energy costs for our Northeast are twice what they are for Texas. Texas has wind, solar, nuclear, um,
Yes,
coal, natural gas. We want to use all forms of energy in Texas, and we
as you
have
should.
half the costs that California and the East Coast have. You know, that's why everybody's moving to Texas. The only problem is, Irina, they're bringing their stupid voting records with them. I'm
And
serious.
they're voting for idiots again,
They're
even though they're
voting for
running away from idiots.
yes. I'm like
Why?
because they're uh, really really dumb. Houston, Texas, and Austin, Texas, are already gone to the blue side. They are voting all renewable. So here we have two big
Oh, wait,
areas.
wait, wait, wait. Why did you leave California in the first place? If you want renewables, stay in California.
And
We're
and
heavy on
you
renewables.
and in the show notes, I'm going to put a current power use of what's going on in Texas at the time of this recording, and it's 7:30 on Friday morning, and it's 3:30 in Bulgaria. Correct?
Yeah.
I'll take a look, and I can guarantee you that wind and solar are maybe 15%, 5%, depending on the wind right now. And then natural gas, coal, and nuclear make up the balance.
Of course
Uh,
they would.
and so, anyway, this is about as dumb as it gets, Irina.
But this is really, really very fascinating. So Californians are moving from California to Texas and are trying to recreate a California in terms of energy policies in
Right.
Texas.
Yes.
So And after they succeed, where are they going to go? Russia?
I'm going to go to Bulgaria.
Yeah,
So,
I'm actually anticipating a certain migration wave from the west to the east,
yes.
which would be great for us because we are depopulating very fast.
I
And
think that
inflation
I also,
will be good.
sorry, I have a lot of great people and friends in the Philippines. So I'm thinking about either Philippines, Bulgaria, or something other than the
It's
US.
warmer in the Philippines. They don't have this kind of winter, do they? They're in the
Oh
tropics.
yeah. And the culture, I love their culture. It's like respect. I love people. Um, so you know, I
You
love,
have a choice. This is great.
and so I don't care where I live, it's kind of like but anyway. So with that, Irina, what's coming around the corner for Irina Slav in the next few weeks? Do you have some more appearances other than your great podcast, The Energy Transition with Armando, Tammy,
Yeah.
and David from Bulgaria, the UK, Brazil, and Dallas, Texas? I'm giving that a huge plug. Your stories
We're a
at Oil
global
Price
podcast.
and your Substack. I love being a Substack subscriber. I highly recommend it. My Substack is only given 37 new subscribers to yours as a recommendation. So
Only. That's a
only,
lot. Thank you.
yeah. So because I was in there looking at that yesterday, and I found where my Substack is referring to other people, and I was like, "Yay, 37! Yay!" So,
I think you're due for some rewards. Substack is offering rewards, some reward system
if
for
your
referrals.
Substack is referring other people, it tells you how many people go to your Substack and subscribe. So,
Yeah, but if you bring me in new subscribers, you get some rewards. I forget what kind of rewards. It doesn't matter. But thank you
I,
anyway. Thank you.
I just, I'm like, yay, I'm a big cheerleader out here for you. So thank you for stopping by the podcast. And we get to visit with you again next month. So give your
Sure.
family a
Yeah, it
hug.
was my pleasure.
All right. Sounds, and I may show up at your doorstep. So I hope you have places around there very close or somewhere in Bulgaria for my family. We may show up.
I will start looking as soon as you let me know you're coming. Yeah,
Uh, that would be
there are
fun.
places.
All right.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stu.